Hello and welcome to the OTB channel. Today I'm going to take a look at a very stylish Arch distro that's really for those people who like to rice and to play around with colours and themes. It's called Archcraft. I've been meaning to look at it for a while and today's the day. See you after the intro. Okay, welcome back. First of all, if I could just say apologies that there wasn't a video last week. I've been suffering with a little bit of a throat virus. I'm on the mend, but you can probably hear it still sounds a little bit raspy. So I do apologise if that comes out throughout this video. But on to the topic in question. What I'm going to look at today is a distro that I've been meaning to look at probably for the last year or so. I did play around with it more than a year ago and I had real problems getting it to work properly in VirtualBox, so I put it to one side. But this week I thought, let's go and have another look. And it's a distro that comes by default with two window managers. It comes with Openbox and it also comes with BSPWM. I believe it's a one-man enterprise, so it's not got a big team behind it, but it's built up a little bit of a reputation for being absolutely beautiful and a distro that has the ability to be themed in as many ways as you can imagine, and which has many tools built in that allow you to change colours and themes very, very quickly. So I'm going to focus today on the Openbox version because I think looking at BSPWM and Openbox on this distro, that Openbox is really the flagship. But I'm going to quickly show BSPWM as well, just so you can see what it has to offer. But before we do that, let's just quickly go and have a look at the Archcraft website. Right, so you should see in front of you the Archcraft website, archcraft.io. So this is pretty much a standard Arch distro. It uses Calamaris, or it also gives you the option of a TUI installer, which allows you to perhaps get a little bit more creative with your installation and do your own thing a bit more. But essentially it's Arch. I believe it does use the chaotic AUR as well, which is a repository with pre-built AUR packages. But that's not going to be the focus of what I'm looking at today. What I want to look at is specifically the theming and how it looks. So many of these distros that are built on another distro, such as Arch, are all about style and theming. That's something I'm usually quite critical of, if that's the only difference. But I'm led to believe that this kind of takes it a step further and does things that perhaps go that one step further than we would perhaps do ourselves as ricers. So I'm going to have a look at it and see what I think. You can see it's a fairly simple website. The thing that draws me to it more than anything is these screenshots. As you know, I love the Nord theme, and it's most certainly got that look and feel about it. There's not a lot to it, to be honest. I mean, if you hit the download page, it takes you to a big button that says download, and you can have a torrent file, you can download it from SourceForge, or you can download it from GitHub. I downloaded it from the torrent, and it came down in about 5 minutes. It's worth saying that if you don't want a window manager, they have recently released a couple of additional editions. They do an XFCE edition, which I've had a look at. There's nothing special about it. It is just a standard XFCE, but it's very nicely themed, very consistent with the theming on the window manager's version. And they do something called Archcraft Lite as well. which is targeted at intermediate power users. Not quite sure what that means, really. Doesn't provide you with anything fancy, just a single window manager with a few basic applications and utilities. I wonder which window manager that is. Doesn't say. If we go to the wiki, so it tells us it's minimal, stunning and powerful, but not much else. Let's go to the wiki itself. And okay, there's some basic instructions there on creating a bootable ISO, how to boot it with Grub, how to install with Calamaris, or how to install with this thing called ABIF, which is a secondary installer based on the command line. And it's expected that people who use this installer know how to use it. I used Calamaris, I'll be honest. It also contains here, it's got some entries for DWM and i3 window manager and Xmonad. I presume you can install the particular configuration for each of those things, but the base ISO just comes with Openbox and BSPWM. And essentially what it contains within the pages here are the key bindings, very little else. So there's not a huge amount of documentation. I think you're probably expected to rely on the Arch Wiki for your documentation more than anything else, because this is an Arch distro and it's all about the theming and style. So without further ado, I'm going to boot up the ISO. I'm going to install it. We won't go through that with you. I'll come back once it's installed, and hopefully we'll be at the Openbox window manager. So here we are at the Archcraft Openbox window. I've saved you the Calamaris install, which is pretty much standard. And I'll admit I've had a little play with this. So although the wallpaper you can see in front of you is default, I'm not entirely sure I've got the default theme, because it's quite hard to tell what the default theme was, and there doesn't seem to be an easy way of going back to it. But as you can see, it's quite a nice looking themed open box. It has that feeling of Nord with this wallpaper, and it's got a very colourful polybar up here with left, right and centre widgets. So you've got, are there even open to touch there, so you can mute and unmute your volume. You've got something that are called NA, which I think is just for you to put your own module in if you like. It's just a space more than anything else. You've then got network up and down. You've got the time, and you can obviously expand that to include the full date. You've got a little icon, which is your power menu for lock, sleep, log out, restart, shutdown, etc. And you've got your various workspace switches there. I think that's CPU there. It's telling us the RAM, 375 megabytes, and how much space we're using, 24.36 gig. And you've got an application launcher there, which I believe is Rofi, and you can access that in a number of ways. You can obviously click up there, or you can just hit the Windows key, and that will bring it up as well. So far, so good. What sets this apart, though, really, is the theming ability. I'm not going to go through Openbox in itself as a window manager, because I've done a review before. But what Archcraft, or the guy behind Archcraft, has done is he's heavily themed this particular distro, and he's given you the option to apply multiple themes. So you can see there's a standard application window there, and there's nothing special about that. It's not got a huge amount of packages. You know, you've got PC Man FM, you've also got Thunar in there, Nitrogen, Planck, You've got Alacrity, and you've also got the XFCE terminal. You've got Genie and Meld, GPIC and ViewNow. I've no idea what that is. In multimedia, you've just got your Pulse Audio stuff, Firefox as a web browser, the Atrill document viewer, and then your standard settings. Where it starts to really, though, become its own thing is the various custom entries you have in this menu. So you have a section here where you can open up apps as root. So you've got the option to open Terminal Alacrity as root, Thunar as root, and Genie as root. Okay, might be useful if you're not used to using the command line. You've got a set of quick commands there for package management. So if you wanted to upgrade packages, you just click on this and you can see all the different options you've got here. You've got a number of screenshot commands set up, screen recorder commands set up, a places menu. So if you wanted to browse your documents folder, dead easy to do. So very clever, actually. I mean, the way this has been themed, I'm quite impressed at the work that's been put into it. And even on keybinds, you can actually display your key bindings in a window, which I really do like, to be honest. And there's lots of default key bindings in here. The key one for me is the Super Enter will open up Alacrity for you. At least I think that's Alacrity. Yes, it is. But now we come to the Preferences menu. And this is where it really starts to separate itself from many standard Openbox distributions. You can change just about anything here. So let's open, say, a file manager and just put that up there. And let's open up a terminal and just, I don't know, do an LA command and put that there. And then go back into Preferences and go into Change Style. Now you can see there's not a default style here, but we can choose, for instance, Adaptive and see what that does to us. And it actually changes the background, and I presume it changes the icons as well. The Rofi application launcher seems to be pretty much as was. Let's do something else. Let's go to the next one and do Beach. And you can see now we have a much lighter style, and the menu launcher seems to be launching from the bottom now, as you can see. So that's very different. And we've obviously got our polybar on the bottom now as well. So let's change it again. Let's change to, I don't know, let's try something else. 11 Dark. I recognise that. So we've got the Windows 11, by the look of it, wallpaper. It's changed our icon style. It's changed our terminal style. And polybar is again on the bottom. And you can go on and you can keep changing. Let's go to Nordic, which is the colour I really like. And then you have the muted greys. And let's see if we've... Oh, again, this has actually changed the Rofi launcher. And this is our Rofi launcher now, which is, I believe, replicated up here. Yes, it is. And I can see it's changing the polybar style as we go. So really easy to change styles here. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I got a little bit lost. It's a system where you can spiral down and end up changing everything. So if I change to, I don't know, let's go for landscape and see what that does. Oh, that's a light colour. Don't really like that. So let's just move back to the Nordic style that I set earlier. So the style section seems to give you an overall way of changing things. Me personally, I really like this Nordic look and feel. Not so sure I like the Rofi style there, but hey, you know, all good. So what else can you change? Well, let's go back into preferences. You can change your font there on status bar, launchers, the terminal. You can change the launcher itself, and you've got, well, a whole range of different options here. So let's just, I don't know, just choose one. The app drawer _alt and see what that brings up. Okay, so that brings up something completely different. What else? Let's try the ribbon bottom round and see what that brings up. Okay, so you can keep your main style, but you can change the launchers yourself. I quite much preferred the original one. So let me go back to the Nordic style, and hopefully that's just changed everything back to how it was. Yes, it has. So what else can you change here? You can, apart from changing the launcher, you can change the look of the power menu. So at the moment, the power menu looks like that. So a standard Rofi sort of power menu. Let's see what else we can change. I'm really guessing here, but let's do something like adaptive. Let's change the theme and see what happens. Okay, not much has changed there. So let's try again. Let's choose one of these. The dock square, perhaps. Yeah, that's certainly been a big change, okay? You get the idea, though. You can change lots of things here. You can change your polybar theme as well, and you've got quite a few options there. You can change the terminal color scheme. So we have our terminal here. Let's just drag that over and see how that changes instantly. Right, terminal color scheme. Let's choose Solarized Dark, and it's changed instantly. Let's choose. Have we got a Nord scheme? Yes, we have. There's our Nord scheme, and on it goes. You could end up playing for a long time. Let's set it to Dracula, and now it's a Dracula theme. So, although this is just Openbox, it's been highly themed, and it gives you lots and lots of options in terms of look and feel. You've got a plank down here, which has some of your standard bits and pieces in. And notice there is an applications menu there as well. Clicking on that doesn't seem to do anything for me. No applications available. But at the end of the day, you've got so many ways of bringing up the Rofi applications menu. I think it hardly matters. So shutting this down, or at least shutting down these windows, you've also got the option to change your wallpaper. So we can generate a wallpaper randomly, or we can simply click on change wallpaper. And yes, this is bringing up nitrogen, and you've got a few options here. Let's just pick one. Okay, all good, not a problem. What about if we go to generate wallpaper? Let's generate a random wallpaper and see what that does. Okay, we'll choose yes. Oh, that's horrible. But you get the idea. So generate wallpaper, random wallpaper. Let's try something else. No, I don't want that. I think, to be honest, I would just rather change my wallpaper and pick one. And I'm going to go back to the standard. So that's Openbox. And it's the Archcraft Openbox. And I think it's actually really well themed. I think it gives you some great choices. If you've never used Openbox and you would like to have a version that gives you quite a lot of control over the theming, this might be something quite interesting to start off with. But there's not just Openbox on this Archcraft ISO. There's also BSPWM. Let's go and have a quick look at that first. Right, so here we are now in BSPWM. I've just logged out and I selected BSPWM from the menu. This time it's opened the welcome screen, which basically defaults on this hello screen. This originally did open with Openbox, but when I came to actually showing you Openbox, I'd shut it down and I couldn't find a way to reopen it. But hey, it's here with BSPWM. And it just gives you a little bit of an overview of exactly what you've got here. And you can see we've got the same default wallpaper. We've got the same look and feel, the default theme. And unlike Openbox, perhaps themes aren't so much a thing with something like a tiling window manager. You've still got Polybar up here, and it's more about your Polybar theme and your Rofi theme and the wallpaper that you're using. It's also, of course, about your key bindings, and what we actually have is, if I click on key bindings there, it'll tell us exactly what the key bindings do. It uses SXHKD. I think that's it for our key bindings. And so what we've got here is all of those listed on our welcome screen. So obviously we have initially enter, or rather super enter to open a terminal, and super C to close that terminal. And to open up, let's see what else we've got. To open up a file manager, Windows Shift F. So let's just try that. And there we go. That looks like, to me, PCman FM. Okay, so that's all good. And Windows C again to shut it. Aha, and it's obviously moved to a different workspace there. Open a text editor, Windows Shift E. So let's try that. We should be opening Genie there. And we are indeed. Right, I see that it's actually got rules set up so that different applications open on different workspaces. I personally would need to change that a little bit, but nevertheless, you know, it is what it is. I'm just going to shut that down now and see if we've now... Does the window key? Yeah, the window key brings up our Rofi, our standard Rofi. What about if we go to nitrogen? I'm presuming everything's set with nitrogen as far as the wallpaper is concerned. And yet we have all our various options here. So let's choose that Windows wallpaper. And there you go. We can, of course, as in any other BSPWM, open up our terminals, open up another terminal, and it will wrap itself round and do what BSPWM normally does. It is all about the polybar though, and the polybar there is obviously themed in a certain way. Just out of interest, let's open up PCman FM. I want to see how this is actually configured. So let's go into our config directory, into BSPWM, and I did notice that this looks very different to the way that I've configured my own BSPWM system, in as much as in the BSPWM folder itself, it's got a themes folder, it's got its own Rofi folder with a launcher script, an MPD script, a network script, etc., and a themes folder. You've also got a polybar folder here. And so if I open that in Genie, you can see it's pretty much the standard thing, with your modules left, your modules center, and your modules right all set out there. And it's quite a short configuration menu, actually, probably because each configuration folder seems to have its own particular config for Polybar and its own particular config for Rofi. So let's just do PCman FM again and go into config and BSPWM. And you've got a bin folder there as well. And that seems to be, or it contains scripts for a whole range of little commands there. You've also got SXHKD. Sorry, have I got that right? Let's go back. SXHKD. Yes, I am pronouncing it right. And in here, you should find all of your standard key bindings for BSPWM. Okay, so other than the Polybar setup, it's pretty much as you would expect. I actually think from a first look here, the Openbox is the one that is almost like the flagship here with its huge range of theming options. But if you want to try BSPWM as well, it's a nicely themed window manager. It still has that Nord look and feel to it. And I think it's a job well done, you know, and I believe it's essentially developed by a single person. So good job on the whole. If you prefer a desktop environment, there is an XFCE ISO that you can download as well. I have had a quick look at that, and it does have this consistent look and feel, the very Nord-like look and feel. Not a huge amount of default applications installed, which for me is a positive boon, because I like to do my own thing. But it's always good to see something else that's out there and to see what everybody else is doing or someone else is doing. So on that basis, let's go and have a chat. Okay, so that's Archcraft. And I'm sorry if I seem to croak my way through that a little bit. I did feel like I was struggling at some points. Annoying, really, because my voice seemed to have come back fully yesterday, but it just seems to be going through a little bit of a resurgence of this virus this morning. But anyway, so that was Archcraft. My overall impression is it's really well done, and I think for one person who's created this distro, you've got to give the guy, you know, a round of applause, because it's no easy thing to create and maintain a whole distro yourself. It's not something that I would do or would even want to do. So, you know, great. Thank you very much for that. Would I use it? No, I wouldn't personally, simply because I like to apply my own theming. But it was good to see what other people like and what sort of options other people would apply. And I'm sure many users out there, rather than starting from a blank slate, will appreciate the fact that this is built in such a way that it gives them a style to start off with, but it then allows them to kind of go on from there and create something that's quite unique to themselves. I'm sure there will be people out there that say, well, it's a one-man distro. Can we trust such a thing? And I would always say, well, at the end of the day, it's Arch. It's an Arch distro. Arch isn't going anywhere. And if you make sure that you're familiar with all the different scripts and configurations that this guy's done, I don't think it should cause any problems. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I hope you have a great weekend. As usual, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And again, I apologise for croaking my way through this one. And I would, of course, like to thank those people that you see in the background, my existing Patreons. I do have to say, guys, that the weather is slowly starting to get better, and I'm starting to hear the call of this beast, my Royal Enfield, and no doubt in the next 5 or 6 weeks, I will be taking a few weeks out to get it back on the road and start enjoying travelling up and down the country lanes again. But that's it for today, guys. Have a great weekend. See you next week.